presentation, we will be discussing the role of ozonation, chlorination, and UV light in the disinfection of water. The first method or process we're going to be discussing about in the disinfection of water treatment is ozone. Ozone is the method that reduces contaminants through ozone's oxidative strength. It is a strong oxidant, therefore it reacts with other substances and accepts their electrons. Ozone also oxidizes organic materials in the membranes of bacteria, viruses, and parasites, and it also oxidizes iron, manganese, and hydrogen sulfide. Before we discuss how ozonation is used in the water treatment industry, let's first see how ozonation is formed. So ozone is born out of oxygen, where an oxygen molecule contains two oxygen atoms, let's call it O2, while an ozone molecule contains three oxygen atoms, let's call it O3. So when electricity or ultraviolet light stream through air, their energy splits oxygen molecules into two oxygen atoms. Then the loose oxygen atoms then recombine with ordinary oxygen molecules to form ozone. So in the upper atmosphere, sunlight interacts with oxygen to produce Earth's protective ozone layer right closer to the surface. And ozone is created when lightning strikes and electricity cuts through oxygen-rich air. These two figures illustrate the whole process of ozonation, how it is used to disinfect the water from bacteria, especially E. coli, as you can see here, where the ozonation penetrates the cell walls of the microorganisms, rupturing them on a structural level. And most treatment plants use a generator to dissolve low concentrations of ozone into our water, usually around 3 to 5 ppm. The second disinfection method is chlorination. Chlorine is used by water treatment centers across the globe to disinfect water supplies and eliminate waterborne pathogens from drinking water. Chlorine can be easily added at large scales, carefully measured, and widely popular disinfection choice. It can also be used to disinfect smaller batches of water at a time and help remove bacteria ions from well supplies. Now let's discuss how the chlorination process is used in the disinfection of water treatment plants from bacteria. So chlorine is usually added in the rapid mixing chamber and effectively prevents the majority of algal growth. And you know algal is a bacteria. So the chlorination process occurs after the coagulation process, flocculation process, and sedimentation process have been done. So this is how it happens. Chlorine comes in contact with the bacteria. It breaks down the chemical bonds on a molecular level. And when chlorine is added to water, a weak acid is formed, and this acid, called hypochlorous acid, penetrates the negative charge of bacterial cells wall, destroying the microorganism from the inside out, and in low and controlled doses. It is harmful to consume, but you know that when chlorine is added in water and the water is being processed, it leaves a lingering chemical aftertaste to water, so the water can be improved, or the odor and the taste of the water can be improved using carbon filter. And the right picture, it is the monitor residual, or the residual monitor. It checks the chlorine level in the water leaving the treatment plant. A minimum value is required to prevent regrowth of bacteria throughout the distribution system, and a maximum value is established to prevent taste, odor, and health problems. The last disinfection method is ultraviolet light. It is one of the most popular and reliable methods of residual bacterial treatment in ultraviolet purification. Ultraviolet light neutralizes the DNA of bacteria, preventing them from reproducing in the water, and this renders the bacteria harmless and totally incapable of infecting you or your family members. We have two sources of UV radiation. We have the low pressure lamp, which emits essentially monochromatic light, and we have the medium pressure lamp, which is generally used for large facilities, and it is faster when it comes to disinfection and has great penetration capability because of its high intensity. Then we have three components of UV disinfection, which is mercury arc lamps, reactor, and a ballast. Now let's get into the purification system of UV light. Water flows into the UV purification system, entering into a chamber where it will be exposed to germicidal ultraviolet light. A thin quartz glass sleeve protects the water from making direct contact with the UV lamp, since the water making contact with the electricity will damage the system. The quartz glass sleeve is a transparent barrier, and the ultraviolet light from the lamp radiates through the sleeve. The lamp and the sleeve are sealed at the end of the system by a protective zero rings or rings, ensuring water is unable to bypass. The germicidal properties of the ultraviolet lamp are followed by tiny balls of mercury in the lamp. So the lamp it has sensors that are built in the UV system, which are called ballast, that alert you when the lamp is approaching the end of its service life. These are the advantages and disadvantages of the disinfection methods: the ozonation process, chlorination process, and ultraviolet process. And from these advantages and disadvantages, we can conclude that the mostly or commonly used method for disinfection is chlorination. Even though it is corrosive, highly toxic, but it is low cost, it doesn't cost too much, it is affordable, so many water treatment plants are able to afford it, and they are able to use it, and because it is proven to reduction of most bacteria and viruses in water. Now we're gonna be discussing about disinfection byproducts. Disinfection byproducts are produced when disinfectants such as chlorine and ozone react with organic and inorganic matter, and they are also called trihalomethanes, and they are carcinogenic in nature. And we know that chlorination and ozonation, they form harmful disinfecting byproducts, but UV, there are no known disinfecting byproducts formed. Now let's discuss the impact of trihalomethanes on human health. Humans are exposed on the byproducts through drinking water, and these can cause various health problems such as bladder cancer, liver damage, adverse birth defects, and decreased nervous system activity, which is unacceptable by the WHO guidelines and can pollute the environment. Since we know that chlorination and ozonation can form harmful byproducts which can cause health problems, there are ways to minimize it. It can be minimized by precursor natural organic matter before the addition of chlorine in water. And the most common method of removing dissolved organic matter is coagulation, but recently a new method called suspended ion exchange was introduced because the process is more effective than coagulation. The disinfection byproducts can be eliminated in the pre-chlorination step, where they reduce the overdosing of chlorine through disinfection benchmark and switching to chloroamides for secondary disinfection.
This presentation was compiled by NB Mnyandu, NP Mdluli, PS Cylinder, M Xaba, and H Nkarimeng. Thank you.